All right. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. I'm having all kind of issues here. Having all kind of issues here. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. Oh man. Shoot. All right. All right. Peace, peace, and blessings, everybody. Hope you're well. Hope you're wonderful. I wanted to just really just expand on this conversation. Just really bring some true consciousness and true empowerment to the community. Of course, today is the birthday of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, of course, and certainly he's deserving of an acknowledgement on this day. But let me just really just expand the conversation. Uh, I was able to go to a Garvey Day event, and I had the opportunity to give a few words, but it's just really fascinating. I find that unfortunately many of these individuals who talk about Garveyism and Garveyites and Garveyism and Pan Africanism, unfortunately, many actually aren't living up to the standards of what Garveyism should be about today. And so we really have to dissect that, um, and I have to realize that people are at different places educationally, and but what I wanted to just offer though is the idea that somehow showing up once a year represents Garveyism, and once a year you just come and sell some products and speak, and people give speeches. Let me just give this example. So yesterday, had a very, very productive day, if I may say so. Went to first, it was the school giveaway up in Allendale where I grew up at, which is a big deal. It was lots of young people. I was very pleased, and um, so I had a busy day. I had my little cousin with me. We went there to help set up, and then we went down to the Garvey event. Make sure that they saw me. Make sure I let them know that I'm coming, because we gave. They gave Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam an award for um, her work that she's done with the Garvey event over the years and years and years. And so that was an amazing experience, and I appreciate that, certainly, and I'm sure she appreciates that as well. But let me just say, what's happening. For instance, there's a you know there's a lack of functionality amongst many of the black men. I'm finding in many different spaces. I mean, many different educational levels, many different uh, occupational levels. People just doing all kind of non-productive, non-community centered, non-civic minded, just unproductive people, right? And I mean, I know people do what they can, but it's just like there's no evaluation process. They're not doing an evaluation process in terms of who gets to speak, who are who is more like Garvey today, who is doing real Pan Africanist work, for instance, and who truly is, just demonstrating good character and building communities, right? So I'll just give this example. So one brother who I don't know what's his problem. He's been like kind of just really dysfunctional for like quite some time, but the conversation, he said something, it was kind of joking, said something about I'm like an interesting person. And that's supposed to be like a slight dig, but the thing is this, like, well, I don't have time to show up like around people that aren't able to build anything. Most of these people just are struggling in life, and I'm not sure uh, when they're going to evolve. So I don't know what this thing was supposed to be suggesting. I'm interesting. So what's interesting for me that I recently got an honorary doctorate. I'm glad. See, and that's the thing. See, there was another sister there who told this elder, yeah, well, Hakeem just got an honorary doctorate, something to that effect. And so, see, just because one person is, and a few people, uh, have their jealousies and things, doesn't mean everybody does. And, with that being said, I also, for instance, there was another event in DC, and I asked, like, why wasn't, I invited? Like, I'm now to a point where I am being undervalued, undermined, and unappreciated. And so ultimately, I'm going to have to just, excuse myself from different spaces. I'll show up every once in a while because I have friends and peers in different spaces, but ultimately, I need to know how to move and how to get into real spaces where I'm being valued and appreciated with educated, enlightened, empowered professionals, right? Because I want to live long, I want to be healthy, I want to, prosper, make money, and so being around, real builders is what's beginning to matter to me. And so, and I'll just give an example, for instance, like, and when I say use caution or warning in these Pan African spaces, what do I mean? So, yesterday there were so many different groups of people that came up. The Moorish people and the Afro descendants, and then one brother came up and said, "Don't call me Baba," and what else he said? Like, I mean, he just was going in. I guess he's like angry at people, and and here's the thing: it's just like these people, they aren't moving and organizing for real power, um, and growth. They do little small things, and but none of them have been a part of taking young people to Africa like I did. That should have been like a qualification within itself to address the crowds. Like truly, 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 it was. But we don't have like smart leaders. I mean, the thing we did with the Gullah Geechee tour this year, that was, pretty impactful. Pretty impactful, but, people playing these little restriction games in terms of who they want to allow to speak, et cetera, et cetera. So ultimately, and I'm teaching here, I'm teaching how not to degrade your time, because you could be somewhere, hey, you could be speaking online, you could be, and here's the thing, I was multitasking. I was on two different Zooms yesterday, and I was on a Zoom today. And yesterday I was on a boat ride with some other, young professionals, and so no, I'm not sitting up there waiting on these people to give me a platform. Sometimes you just got to get out and network. You got to get into places. Everybody not going to be putting up a red, black, and green flag, and just saying, come on, let's all agree, So, and that's what I was thinking about when all these different people speaking, people, I mean, I'm just like, you know what? I have to move at the speed of light to excuse myself from some of these spaces because these individuals, they aren't growing. They aren't growing. Um, and so just like the elder that got up there and was, I guess he, I guess he feels like he should be the king of Baltimore. But nobody know you, brother. Nobody know you. Nobody see you, and like you need to elevate your game. Like you got to find different networks of people to grow your movement. But unfortunately, many of them aren't aren't and haven't reached that particular levels. And so this is why, for instance, even some of the things that we did, over the past few years. I mean, with the from the Mandela Fellows to the things in D.C. supporting the independent African Center schools in D.C. I mean, we got things coming up. I'm going to New York for some things, but ultimately, some things people just want to listen to stories. They want to be ceremonial Negroes. They want to, sing and dance, you know, play some drums, and that's all good, on some levels. But, you know, the lack of organizing, the lack of work, and the lack of building coalitions with people who may not be like, I mean, it was just really weird because, I mean, I don't, I don't get how all these different groups people decide that who should be speaking. Why did these Moorish people and this Afro descendant nation, no disrespect, but it's just like everybody came up there and we Afro descendant people, we Moors and we Africans, and it's just like a whole hodgepodge of any and everything. I was surprised I didn't see New Wapians or the Hebrew Israelites come out. It's just very backwards type of thing. I mean, and I know Garvey was about unity, right? He wanted to create some unity, but I mean, these people they don't do nothing else. And some of these groups, they don't do nothing else. You don't see them. So what's the value of your knowledge? And then you have some of these groups, they've been at the same number of people. They've been doing the same thing. It's like for 10, 15 years. You see only three of them. They got these own little small groups. And let me just give respect to the UNA Baltimore chapter. They gave me an award. And some people, I mean, I just don't have time to be joining a lot of different groups. And I work with whoever I can, wherever I can. I get invited to a lot of different spaces, and I'm thinking about what am I learning here? What's my future going to look like? And then you have, on the other end of that, you have some, so-called Pan Africanists that, go to Africa, get stuck in Africa, and they don't have no money to get back, and they asking me, for funds, and I'm just like, man, this is getting crazy. Like these Pan Africanists, and I don't want to put a label because and say that all Pan Africanists are intellectually dysfunctional, but I've had to observe many for the past 15, 20, 30 years, and I see that there's some incompetency. There's a lack of maturity in many of them, and they don't grow. They absolutely don't grow whatsoever. And so, if you considering joining, for instance, I mean, just know that it could be educational, but you got to go through that process. But just don't end up in a cult. Don't end up just following somebody that's just stuck in one little space, and they play dress up, play militant, and they ain't doing nothing militant nowhere to anybody or anything. So ultimately, we need to, keep moving forward, keep making progress. But, I mean, I would say you can't stay in these spaces for too long because ultimately the quality outside of myself, the quality of the leadership is null and void. Um, and this is why I try to be a bridge to some smarter people, and I'm hoping that individuals can, like how I had to do when I was younger. Sometimes I would look around at my peers at particular ages, and I said, I'm different. I did that. I said, I'm different. I don't need to be like hanging in clubs like how some of these people do, drinking all the time. I'm like, I have some knowledge, some valuable knowledge that I believe that people should be listening to. And so, um, and that's where my evolution, but and that's where I'm feeling like I'm definitely not going to be stuck. Just keep showing up in these spaces. I mean, they have, some of them calling themselves independent Pan Africanist schools, building fake schools and places. It's just a lot of insanity, and some of them have rites of passage, things. But you ask them to do something, like let's do something with the young people, and they don't do nothing. They do basic things, man. You might just, I mean, they might as well put a sign on some of these places that say "Gone fishing," MIA gone fishing. So I mean, so I already know what I'm doing, what I'm building, the allies that I'm building. So making more and more progress, but I got to step away from some of this in real time and in real life. And so you don't want to get stuck up and around some of these different groups. And this is not it's not a FBA / Pan Africanist thing. It's like I'm from Baltimore, right? But I go where the people are. I organize where whoever I can find, whoever got some good character, some quality, some resources, some knowledge, some experience, individuals that are ready to go, that are ready to grow. So, and unfortunately, I mean, certainly not in Baltimore, and then the DC people, they didn't even think enough. They didn't even think enough of me to invite me. So I'm just like, man, we're falling behind, and I have to use discernment, and I hope that you all will use discernment in terms of where you show up, how far you show up, how much you show up, so that you aren't wasting your time with people that aren't going nowhere, and they'll be the same place 10 years from now, the same few people showing up. They don't expand their network. They don't think about some real business dynamics, and they just do the same thing over and over and over. So, other than that, I did get a good bean pie just to think about it. So, I'm gonna go, and share that with my little cousin because I ain't gonna eat that whole thing. So, holla at the Success Scholar. Take care. Looking forward to building with you all. I went on my IG too for the first time. I'm gonna start doing some TikToks too. Whatever it takes to reach different audiences. So, but life is good, y'all. Holla at the Success Scholar. Peace and blessings.